On April 13th, 2029, a rock will pass Earth closer than our satellites. It is 1,100 feet wide, taller than the Empire State Building. It is named after the Egyptian god of chaos, and for one night, 3 billion people will see it with their own eyes. Its name is Apophis, discovered in 2004. And when scientists first ran the numbers, they thought it was coming to kill us. For 3 days in the summer of 2004, the world's top astronomers believed Earth was about to end. This is the story of how we almost died, and what is still coming. June 19th, 2004, Kitt Peak Observatory, Arizona. 3 astronomers point their telescope at a patch of empty sky and find something that shouldn't be there. A faint dot of light moving against the stars. Too fast to be a planet. Too slow to be a satellite. Something new. They tracked it for hours, then days. Then they ran the numbers, and the numbers came back. Terrifying. Apophis had a 2.7% chance of slamming into Earth in 2029. That sounds small, until you realize that's the highest impact risk ever recorded for any asteroid. Phone lines at NASA lit up. Emergency meetings were called. Governments were warned. For 72 hours, humanity held its breath. Scientists calculated, recalculated, ran simulations through the night. And then, something strange happened. New observations came in, the numbers shifted, the risk dropped, and dropped again. And finally, 0%. Apophis would not hit Earth in 2029. The world exhaled. Scientists celebrated. Humanity had dodged the bullet. But here's what almost nobody knows. Apophis may not hit us in 2029, but what it is going to do has never happened in human history, because for the first time ever recorded, a rock this big is going to pass closer to Earth than the satellites that give you GPS, closer than the ones that beam your phone calls, closer than most things orbiting this planet. And the date it arrives is a day people have feared for centuries, a day of bad luck, a day of omens, Friday, the 13th. But the real horror isn't the date. It's what scientists now know would happen if Apophis had been just a little bit off course. Let's talk about size. Apophis is 340 meters wide, 1,100 feet, taller than the Empire State Building, bigger than 3 football fields laid end to end, made of stone, iron, silicates, forged 4.5 billion years ago. In the early chaos of our solar system, and in 2029, it will fly past your head at 30 times the speed of a rifle bullet, faster than any human-made object, faster than thought. It will cross more sky than the full moon, every single minute. If you blink at the wrong time, you will miss it forever. No telescope needed, no equipment, just your own 2 eyes, and a clear night sky. 3 billion people will watch it, from Europe, from Africa, from Western Asia. 3,000 years ago, the Egyptians carved warnings about a god named Apophis, a serpent who swallows the sun, who brings darkness, who ends worlds. They never knew how close their myth would come to reality. 5,000 years later, we named the rock after their god, and prayed he passes in peace. But peace may not be what we get, because as Apophis approaches Earth, something strange starts to happen to it. Earth's gravity starts to reach for it, a pull, a tug, a grip on a rock the size of a skyscraper. From 200,000 miles away, the side of Apophis facing us gets pulled harder than the far side. Scientists call this a tidal force, It's the same force that raises the oceans. But Apophis isn't an ocean, it is solid rock. And when tidal forces squeeze solid rock, rock starts to crack. There will be quakes on the asteroid, landslides on the asteroid, boulders tumbling on the asteroid, a world dying, just as we watch. And when it is over, Apophis will be a different rock, its orbit around the sun, rewritten forever. Now here's the question every scientist secretly asks, the question they don't want to answer on camera. What if Apophis had been just a little closer? If Apophis had struck Earth, it would release 1,200 megatons of energy. Let me translate that. 80,000 Hiroshima bombs, all at once. If it hit land, the crater would be 4 miles across. Everything within 100 miles, gone. Cities, forests, lives, erased in seconds. But the real nightmare is if it hits the ocean, because then it wouldn't make a crater. It would make a wave, a tsunami hundreds of feet tall, racing across the ocean at 500 miles per hour, higher than any building, faster than a jet. New York, London, Mumbai, Karachi, Tokyo, every coastal city, underwater, in hours, with no warning, no escape. But the worst comes after, because the impact would kick millions of tons of dust into the atmosphere, blocking out the sun. For years, temperatures would drop, crops would fail, billions would starve. The way the dinosaurs starved when their rock hit. And the terrifying part? Apophis isn't even a big asteroid. Not really. There are ones out there, much bigger, and we have not found them yet. But this isn't a story about fear. This is a story about how we fight back. February 15th, 2013, Chelyabinsk, Russia, 9:20 a.m. local time. Families are driving to work. Kids are heading to school. And then, the sky explodes. A 20-meter asteroid had entered Earth's atmosphere at 40,000 miles per hour, and nobody saw it coming. It exploded 14 miles above the ground, with the force of 500 kilotons of TNT, 30 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Windows shattered across 6 cities, 7,200 buildings damaged, 1,500 people rushed to hospitals, mostly cut by flying glass, and this was just a 20-meter rock. Apophis is 17 times bigger and 500 times more powerful. And it is not just Chelyabinsk. In 1908, a bigger rock exploded over Siberia, Tunguska. It flattened 770 square miles of forest. If Tunguska had happened over London, London wouldn't exist. The only reason we survived is luck. But luck isn't a strategy. And in July 2019, we learned that the hard way. A 100-meter asteroid, the size of a football stadium, flew past Earth at just 73,000 kilometers, closer than many of our own satellites. Its name was 2019 OK. And here's the part that keeps NASA scientists awake at night. We didn't see 2019 OK coming at all. We only spotted it 24 hours before it passed. If 2019 OK had been aimed just a few thousand miles differently, it would have wiped out an entire city, and humanity wouldn't have had time to evacuate a dog. That was the moment every space agency on Earth said, never again. November 24th, 2021, NASA launched something no agency had ever attempted, a spacecraft designed to deliberately slam into an asteroid. Its name was DART. No bomb, no weapon, just 600 kilograms of spacecraft, traveling at 14,000 miles per hour toward a rock 7 million miles from Earth. The target was an asteroid called Dimorphos, 160 meters wide. Not a threat, not dangerous, just a test, a rehearsal for the real thing. September 26th, 2022. Mission Control in Maryland. The world is watching. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2, 1. Impact. A human-made machine collided with an asteroid. On purpose, for the first time in the history of our species, and Dimorphos moved. We changed its orbit by 32 minutes. Doesn't sound like much. Over years, 32 minutes becomes thousands of miles. Thousands of miles becomes a miss instead of a hit. For the first time in 4 billion years of life on Earth, a species had deflected a rock from space, and DART was just the beginning. Right now, this very moment, 2 spacecraft are on their way to Apophis itself. NASA's mission is called OSIRIS-APEX. It will chase Apophis down, land on it, and study it from the inside out. Europe has a mission too. It is called Ramses. And Ramses is going to do something nobody has ever done before. It will fly alongside Apophis as it passes Earth, measuring every quake, every crack, every grain of dust. Because Apophis isn't just Apophis. It is a rehearsal, a controlled drill, a lab experiment with a rock we know will miss. For a rock that one day will not miss. So when April 13th, 2029 arrives, look up at a rock named after the god of chaos. And remember, this was the day humanity stopped being helpless. If you want to watch this with us, subscribe. We are following Apophis all the way to 2029.